right, this is really good. I didn't realize after a weekend of axe throwing that I needed to do this. Yeah, we should definitely start every podcast just stretching and talking about this.
Hello, y'all. Welcome, friends, family, everyone in between. Welcome back to the FillGood podcast.
Welcome.
I am your Phil co-host, Byron Filler. With me, as always, is
the good co-host, Mike Osgood. And we're still asking fun, interesting people and asking them what makes them feel good and what's the good that they put out in the world. But Byron, before we start talking about our person of the day, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I've just been watching a bunch of shows and playing some games and actually just finished Elden Curb.
Elden Curb,
as you've so lovingly referred to it as. Kirby was fun.
Nice. It's so much of just a Dark Souls game for kids. Ish, and also for adults to enjoy, but difficulty setting.
So I mean, I needed something that I could turn my brain off for. I went from Sifu to Kirby, and I got my ass kicked in Sifu, and I needed to. By the way, Sifu was a lot of fun. This is not all a complaint about it. It was too hard. It was like you got back up and you're like, I want more.
Exactly.
No, this if you want a fun time, you just want something simple and you want to zone out to something, you're gonna have a good 20-30 hours of just being a pink puffball that turns into okay, here's what I don't understand about Kirby.
What do you not understand about Kirby? Please tell me.
Technically, his stomach is a black hole. Why can he suck up organic life, but he cannot suck up a car?
Because it's bad for him. It's metals and plastics. Why would you want to suck that up?
I know, but he's 8 inches in elastic. That's not changing. And look, it's neither here nor there.
I mean, we can debate this all we need to. He's trying to maintain a more healthy carbon-based, diet. And when you're sucking up, stairs and tires
lifestyle,
and whatever else.
Come on.
Yeah. It's a whole lifestyle choice. We should not shame him for it.
Okay. There's no shame. It's just about, I'm just trying to understand where Kirby's coming from. I just want to support Kirby and Kirby's endeavors. His entire planet is gone, and that can be really stressful on 8 inches of puff.
We should totally get him on the podcast and ask him all of these questions. I'm sure he'd be great.
Until then, Mike, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. What's good with me is this whole new setup that I have here, as I almost knock over everything in my apartment. But no, I'm not an apartment. I live in a house. Everything new that I have here in my office. I am in the progress of trying to make my office mine and finding the little things here and there to spiff and spoof it up. But I also just had a birthday in which I got a variety of gifts up and around here. Woo, 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 woo. But with that is new equipment to make ourselves look even better, to make myself sound better, and also just to be here, spruce it up. If I'm going to be here, I want it to be a nice inviting space for myself. So this is new for me, and I love it, and it feels great because I haven't had a space like this in quite some time, and it's feeling great.
Well, you're
little touches of love. Thank you so much. Little touches of love put in here by my lovely fiance. I have a little bourbon station that is right here, nice and neat. I have a little neon flamingo, which I love, super cool. And then it's gonna just continue to get spruced up as time goes on.
In the intro there, we were talking a little bit about the axe throwing that we did. Did you? Because that was your big birthday event. Did you enjoy that? What did you get out of axe throwing?
My God, I loved that so much. I enjoyed that way more than I thought I was going to, and I was already expecting to love it a ton. But you go in, you're flinging axes. I'm way better at axe throwing than I am at throwing darts. So that's already nice of like, oh, I can get routine freaking bullseyes all day, every day. Maybe it's just the size of the axe versus the size of the dart. I don't know. But I feel way better about it. And I had so much fun doing it with you, doing it with Marissa, Alexia. We all went out. We had a good time. And that was my birthday.
Do we need to talk about Bruno?
Bruno, I mean, we can't talk about Bruno. So, a fun little gift that Byron got me for my birthday, because I'm a 32-year-old man, is that he got me an inflatable brontosaurus. One of those little, like, balloon animals that you can walk. That kind of has enough.
So cute.
It has enough helium in it to just glide over the ground, and it was super adorable. And I loved it for a good 15 minutes, but there were these kids that were at a table behind us at the spot that we were at that just were obsessed with it, and they kept looking at it and I was like, they should probably take Bruno.
Because, I wanted to talk about Bruno for a second, because as your co-host, I want to make sure that people are hearing the good that you are putting into the world and how much light that gives you, even on your birthday, that it meant more to, I mean, you were, I guess, Bruno's foster dad, and then Bruno went to his forever home.
He did. He went to his forever home, and then somehow he magically wound back up with me. If you take a look over this shoulder, there is now a golden Bruno the Brontosaurus succulent back here, which will forever live there, and it is now going to be a staple piece and probably my new spirit animal. But enough about me, Byron, and all my fun festivities. The people want to learn about the guest. Who are we speaking to this week?
We are chatting with Samantha Sandate White. She's a special education teacher, certified special education teacher, who works specifically with children and adults on the autism spectrum. She herself is also on the spectrum, and she is autistic. So we did a deep dive into not only just her experience, like the education programs that she creates using her artistic skill sets, but also just her special interest is volunteering. So I think we should just let Sam speak for herself.
We should.
By the way, I will mention this was actually one of the first interviews that we recorded but at the beginning of this season, and this has been reordered. So
you're going to see us having a few different backgrounds. This was filmed in December 2021, and
yes,
it was. Take that and just set that aside and listen to what Sam has to say.
Exactly. We're gonna let Past Us take it away with a
do this with me real quick, okay? Just hands in the air. Just hands up. Everybody hands up. And then I want you to just shake it. Just shake it out. Shake it. Go crazy. Okay. Everybody good?
I'm sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mike, and I am throwing things already around my apartment. And welcome to our interview with the one and the only, the fantastic, the majestical, the magical, the mythical, the Sam Sandate White. Hello!
You're making me blush.
Hello. You're welcome. How are you this evening?
I'm feeling great, especially after the past couple of weeks. I'm feeling wonderful.
What's been so magical about the past couple of weeks?
Well, not being sick from to double ear infection, sinus infection. Yay!
I'm glad you're doing better.
Oh yes, me too.
No, it was fun when we did the pre-interview, and then we were trying to get this all set up for the past couple weeks. And
oh my gosh,
you were so sweet coming in is this going to be bad for recording? I was like, please take care of yourself.
If there's ever a level of priority of things, there's your health then underneath the desk is recording
a podcast.
Oh man, I was such a mess that day, but I was so determined. I was wearing the same shirt. I was like, I'm ready with like my little rag, my water, and my blanket. Like, I'm ready.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man, that's dedication, and I'm just gonna let you know, Sam, we appreciate that.
We really appreciate you. Thank you.
Well, I was so excited to do it with y'all.
We're
excited to have you.
Yes, we are so excited to have you. But before we get into everything that is good about you, we need to talk about the bad. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is our moment of bad. It's back.
It's bad.
It is back, and
it's real bad.
It's badder than ever. We are going to try to put 60 seconds on the clock. We're going to go through one of the things in our day that might have bothered us, or something we read in the news that made us want to flip a chair. We are gonna vent about it for a little bit, and then we're gonna make it be gone. We're gonna. Mike, do you want to start?
Dude, I would love to.
Yeah.
I need to talk about my dog. I need to talk about my dog. So, it's just a trait that she has been stirring up as of late. I love this dog. She is the cutest dog. She is adorable. Her name's Rosie. She's an angel. Except when you're taking her out on a solo walk. You're the only one. She's trying to come with you, and you're like, all right, Rosie, let's go. We have our nice little set alley that we like to walk her down. We call it the new pee-poo alley. We walk her down. She does her business when there's two people. But when there's one person, that dog does not want to go anywhere. Nowhere. She will stand there. She'll stare into your soul and be like, no. And then you have to walk which direction she wants to go. And where does she always want to go? She wants to go into the grocery stores. She wants to go into the cafes. She wants to go into the burrito shop. She wants to walk you to the dog store so that she can go and get treats from the owners. Will she go anywhere else that you want her to go? No.
I don't know. That sounds
I want her to take her
innocent
picky.
To me.
I want her to take her pickiness. I had to carry that dog 2 blocks today because she would not go anywhere that I want her to go.
That's standard for a dog.
No. So I'm going to tell my little pup Rosie, I'm going to tell her to take her pickiness and make it be gone.
And then she's going to come back and boop you for love, and you're going to give it to her.
I'm going to give her all the belly rubs and all the treats. And then it's going to act like that never happened. But Byron.
Big gone.
Yeah. Byron, what's been bothering you this week?
So for a little bit, I've been trying to deal with some skin issues. I am itchy all the time, itchy all the time.
Itchy all the time.
But it's basically a bit of just trying to figure out what it is. It's like, it's not the craziest thing in the world. It's just something that I would just rather not be scratching myself and being feeling awful about this. So the stage I'm at is cutting out coffee, and unfortunately it's working.
No.
I know.
Oh.
Luckily I still have tea, so there's something, but I have like another week before, and then there's a step of like you have to reincorporate it to see if that is actually the case. But I'm scared.
We're not going to begone coffee.
We're not going to begone
itchiness.
We're going to begone itchiness. Begone being itchy. I don't know. I'll die
right,
itchy.
Here, you want to know what? I'll take this one for you. Anytime you need coffee, just let me know.
Yeah.
Just let me know. And I will gladly pour a cup of coffee. I'll video chat you. We'll do this. And I will, you want to know what?
Smell it over. Waft it over the screen.
Oh. That was cruel.
Yeah.
Yes, but itchiness be gone.
Itchiness be gone.
So, Sam, what's been bothering you?
Oh,
what
God.
should we release into the ether.
So you talking about your dog just burned my insides because of my dog. So okay, my dog is my twin. Like, we're soulmates. Like, we are twin souls, best friends.
Does your husband know
Yes,
I understand that.
He actually gets
Okay.
very concerned by the fact that we make the same faces, apparently. But the dog is my twin. He knew that before he married me. But God, he tries so hard to be helpful, but it kills me because I will be with the baby, I'll be cooking, and he wants to be right there behind me. He's a golden retriever. He is not small. We are constantly tripping over him everywhere.
Why am I just learning that you have a golden retriever?
Oh, I love him. His name's Casper Ghost, but we call him Ghost. And oh my God, he's beautiful. He is beautiful.
So he's beautiful, and he's just there to be an aid. I'm trying to figure out what the bad.
I trip over him. I fall. I stumble. It's just one circus act after another every day.
Take your over-eagerness, little pup, and I can't tell your dog is gone.
No,
but I'm gonna tell him. I'm gonna say, Ghost, take your shadowiness of wanting to be by Mama's side and go lay down.
Yes, go lay down.
Go lay down.
Go lay down. Go lay down. Or come back with opposable thumbs.
Just lay down on the couch.
Just sit there and look pretty, please.
Please.
Well, now that the bads are... I actually really liked this round of bads.
This was a good round.
This is the most like positive round of bads that I think we've ever had. Moving on from all the things that are bad, letting all of it go. Sam, like every good superhero, they have an origin story. And while yours may not be as dramatic as Bruce Wayne's, we'd love for you to tell us and the Phil Goody Two Shoes about you. Who are you? What are you all about?
Well, I have an education degree. I graduated with childhood development, and because I'm a nerd who loves testing, I took like 4 different certifications so that I could teach basically anything up to upper junior high and some high school actually. But
nice.
My favorite thing was, of course, special education.
Nice.
And
what took you there?
Well, a lot of it had to do with my own personal experience. I am diagnosed with autism. I wasn't diagnosed until I was 25. But like many people on the spectrum, I experienced a lot of confusion and bullying and things of that nature. I kind of made it my life mission to help other people like me by making lessons and resources for other people to use. So for many years, I've been creating different resources, going to the community before COVID, and teaching at local libraries, churches, just helping with these little social skill lessons to kind of help people like me cope and grow.
That is beautiful.
That's amazing. So what are these lessons about, and how are you teaching lessons for people who are on the spectrum of all ages?
Yes. Well, I'm very artsy, so without meaning to, they tend to use some art just because even if you're not good at art, sometimes it's just nice to do something. Like, you're focusing on this, it makes it easier to talk about feelings.
Yes.
So a lot of them have a little bit of art thrown in. Some of it has to do with social media, like talk about tone and diction, how certain words, when posting something, you could rephrase it to make it sound more positive, to avoid people may have picking on the language or nitpicking on it. Talking about symbolism, how sometimes it's better to dispose of negative symbols in your life, like get rid of that ex-boyfriend t-shirt or something that makes you sad. There's no need to keep it after a while, or you don't have to get rid of it as much as just put it away so that you're not seeing it all the time. Just little tips like that.
We call that a be gone.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Nice. So I want to kind of learn from you in regards to what's the inspiration for creating this artistic curriculum. Like, what was it that drew you to doing this?
Well, part of it had to do with it actually started when I was still in school. In front of my professor, I was kind of outlining how students needed to be taught more emotional health, but maybe it could be connected to more school subjects so that it would make more sense to them. Like taking all these hard feeling words and just breaking it down to things they knew about, like social media or tone or storylines, main character, protagonist, character flaws, just words they would recognize. And she told me, keep working on it, Sam. That could be your doctorate someday. I will probably never get my doctorate. However, I did take her advice and kept working at it.
Nice.
I mean, that's amazing. So I guess because you're doing this for all ages, and so what's the challenges that you're facing of trying to create a curriculum that can be universally understood by someone who's on the spectrum? And I mean, it's not only the differences of age, somebody 15 to maybe 25 or 35, but also they're on the spectrum. You're catering to a much more diverse audience just in that as well. So how are you approaching this?
Well, for many of those on the spectrum, and myself included, because this is going to sound weird, but a physical movement is not easy for me. It's definitely something I had to work very hard at. I was the child who hurt themselves just walking to my room. So it was very much a learned skill. I bumped into the walls, tripped, slid, the whole enchilada.
I once broke my pinky toe doing a handstand, so I understand.
I broke my leg playing soccer by myself in my front yard.
I feel that.
That would not have happened to anyone else.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Except for all three of us here.
Yeah.
Exactly. So each of the lessons, I take alternative. What's a way you could do the exact same lesson without having to do fine motor skills? Like instead of if the lesson has drawing in it, also include magazine cutouts. If that's not good, then just moving with a mouse, different pictures. Like there's just a little sliding scale of what they can do. And for the age difference and that one, it's mostly set by the discussion. I've done the lessons with 5-year-olds, and I've also done the lessons with 40-year-olds. The discussion is just totally different, even though everyone will start off with the exact same topic. It's amazing.
Like those mechanics are always those basic mechanics are gonna be the same, but it sounds like it's just a little bit more topical to what the age group is and what they understand. Is there an age range that is more difficult to have those conversations with?
I think there's this kind of transition stage of 10-year-olds to preteens. Like they are still children, but they're starting to think more like teenagers and adults. So they get kind of stuck. They'll part of the group will realize a very mature take on it, but then part of the group is like, what?
That's just a troublesome age to begin with. Like, I just remember myself at that time. I'm like, I don't know if I should be like playing with toys or talking about girls. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And I can only imagine, like, with that need of a curated education, it has to be I'm impressed with just the ability of being able to create more of a curriculum that can adjust to such a wide variable of personalities, of experiences, and of course, age too. Something that can go from 5 to 45. I think this also kind of transitions into us kind of learning more about like the good that you put out in the world, which is you didn't necessarily come into this by like happen chance. This is something that you've been wanting, or that you've been kind of doing your whole life, because it's just been kind of ingrained in you, correct?
Definitely. It almost too ingrained.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Why would you say that?
Well, it was definitely a skill throughout my life. I could say that it's only recently I finally have gotten to a good balance, but I desperately wanted to do good to others that I kind of wasn't doing good to myself, and that caused a lot of conflict in my life until I learned to balance that out. Like, you have to be kind to yourself too.
But what was that initial drive for you to want to do good to others?
Is it okay if I blame Goku?
Yeah.
I think he deserves a lot of blame.
Goku.
On things. Yeah, blame Goku.
I'll blame Goku, or Ash Ketchum, or any kind of anime character that did good.
Yeah.
I was reenacting, trying to fly.
Were you just like trying to spirit bomb and just getting all the energy?
Oh yeah.
Because I definitely did not do that as a 12-year-old. I swear.
I did that as a 5-year-old, so I feel better about myself.
Oh, a little bit more age appropriate to spirit bomb, I see.
Whatever. No, but so you kind of learn these lessons through anime.
Oh yeah, I wanted to be just like them, how they were always helping everyone. Can you hear that?
Yes.
The baby? Yes,
yeah.
We can hear that. It's okay.
Oops.
Your mom. You're allowed to have baby crying if you need, like,
if you need to
go take care of her.
Yeah.
Or him.
Dad's in charge. Bye.
Okay.
Good job, Dad.
Hi, Dad.
Hello, special appearance. Wait, does your hubby have a horde tattoo?
Yes. He's in love with it.
Wow.
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 Oh, he says that too.
Fun. Let's circle back. Let's kind of
let's
reset.
Into this. So we're talking about anime. We're talking about your influence in doing good in the world, and that seems to have translated into not just creating these lesson plans, but also doing volunteer work. Can you talk about what you have been doing and what you're doing right now?
Well, in more recent times, since I can't go out as much, I actually have been just trying to make free resources. So far, I've done little things like toilet training strips for kids to point at each step so they could practice. Because it's actually a huge topic in the autistic community. Going to the restroom is very stressful for a lot of children on the spectrum. Between the small space, the smells, the noise, the
just sort of a sensory overload,
oh yes,
right?
Teaching kids how to deep breathe, sing to themselves, count to themselves, just these self-soothing kind of coping techniques is actually a huge deal. So that's kind of where I do little resources here and there, just give advice to parents, just little things here and there to keep helping people. And well, it's never a bad thing to, add something to your portfolio. Yay.
It's always good, but it's especially admirable because, you're doing this for free. And this is also semi-tangential. We live in a country where you have a great idea, you make money off it. But long gone are the times of people being able to go out and develop something for the betterment of somebody else, and that be the payment. And I think that's pretty admirable for sure.
I can't stop.
And what's continuing that drive?
Special interest.
I was going to ask that because I feel like, so I will try to speak to certain things and talk about special interests and not always have the language for it with people. And a lot of people will end up having that concept of like, oh, it's kind of just like everyone else, where you become passionate about something, you go and do that thing, and it's kind of like, well, no, because it's, and I don't want to call it obsessive because that's the wrong language. It's it's a fixation, and you process the world through that fixation.
Yes.
And also just quickly to clarify as well, when you're talking about this special interest, as I'm finally in the minority of this now. Like, I'm the one person that doesn't have autism here. But for those who aren't in the autism space, like you're defining special interest as in sort of this is your idiosyncratic thing. Or kind of like this is your superpower in a way. This is your thing.
Yes and no. It's my superpower, but also my greatest weakness. Because if I'm not careful, it can become obsessive. That's where where the special balance comes in. Learning to manage yourself and be kind to yourself. Because for many of those on the spectrum, we will get so into or fixated on our special interests that things like not sleeping, not eating, blacking out from not eating or sleeping, those are very common side effects. I used to have that problem actually until I got married. So yay to my husband being the healthiest relationship I've ever had.
Can you go into more detail on how that helped?
Well, it's funny. I had a mystery illness that no one could figure out. It was eating. Without meaning to, I would get so excited about my projects, volunteering. I would forget to eat.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't on purpose. It was just a sincere...
But it was a reaction.
Yes.
And that's the other thing I try to like get people to understand. It's like I'm so fixated on, say, for me, it's temperature. I will forget to take off my sweater in like a hot room, but that's because it's like so much is going on. I'm trying to stay focused, and there isn't that thing in my brain at the same time that's saying, "You're hot, take it off."
Oh yes.
I'll always tell you to take it off, Byron. Take it off, buddy. Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny, it was such a simple solution. He just started eating with me, and next thing you know, my mystery blacking out stopped. And then it was like, oh, wow. That was the issue.
That's awesome.
It's one of those things that it's a very unique problem to people in our community. Like to someone who's not in our position, it sounds insane. Like,
I wouldn't say it sounds insane.
Well, it sounds like you can't comprehend it. It's like, what?
I think it's the curse of people will go for other psychological aspects of it. They'll a little bit more quickly go to like eating disorders rather than traits of autism. Not because they know anything about eating disorders, but because they can relate it to something that's something they know a little bit more about, even though they absolutely know nothing about eating disorders. Like, it's enough of a relation that they can target, and then you're not getting the care that you need.
Exactly. It's one of those things where, well, actually, I think many problems right now are because of this common issue. We have so much information that we have now a misinformation issue going on when it comes to social media and the internet. So people are so overloaded with information that we actually don't know anything. It's just this weird, bizarre, we have the answers in the world in the palm of our hand, but it's missing in a giant stack.
Where to start, where to begin. I think one of the greatest things about just talking to you and learning more about you is that based off my conversations with Byron in the past, he's kind of told me that there's a societal disconnect that autism or that people with autism don't necessarily have empathy, but your special interest is pure unadulterated empathy. it's going out and helping and giving. So I'm wondering, how are you now balancing out that act of self-care when your passion in life is giving to others?
Well, something I've noticed with those on the spectrum in general is that we tend to just be extremes. Either you extremely are empathetic, or you don't show your empathy, because that's emoting a lot, and that's a lot of energy, to be fair. Not everyone has that much energy to give in life, and you know what? That's fair. Life is draining sometimes.
No one's always entirely aware of. I always find like I will be talking to a neurotypical person who puts so much into being expressive, and I'm just like, aren't you tired? Like, yes, I'm exhausted.
Yes, I am, Byron. Yes, I am. You can name me. It's okay.
Oh, you are actually tamer than half the people I've met in Los Angeles, so don't.
I need a soundbite of that so I can play it to my entire team, please and thank you.
But no, it's true. Like, to us, like, I just see some people, like, they're so energetic. It's like, how much do you have to eat to keep this up?
Yeah.
Just burn those calories.
Well, on the flip side, I don't know if you've met energetic people who are on the spectrum, and it's interesting to have listened to them interpret, because they'll interpret the same symptoms of having autism. It's not about like being extroverted as much as it is like that's the focus they have in their life.
The ones I've met, I don't know how to explain it. Their energy is more on almost a nervous energy. And I could, I was actually talking to a lot of my friends today, because I'm part of a community server for those on the spectrum. And we talked about how emotions, to a lot of us, not all of us, but a lot of us said it's spiky. Like, the more extreme the emotion, almost a tingly, spiky feeling is on our skin. And it was funny how we all kind of connected to that. Like, huh?
So this is fascinating to me. So when you say it's like spiky, so when you're feeling like an intense amount of joy, you feel like a strange prickly sensation? Kind of thing,
almost like a tingle. Have you ever seen My Hero?
I have not seen My Hero.
Darn it.
I know.
It's one that's on my list too.
I'm like the non-weeb.
No.
Here. I like, my anime goes to like early 2000s. I watched all of DBZ. I watched Cowboy Bebop. I was like Toonami then, and then afterwards I trailed off and got into like superheroes.
To be fair, I also got into superheroes.
Okay.
But My Hero is literally just superhero anime.
Yes. So I will put Byron and I will watch it together.
That is one that I definitely want, because it really is. The anime is so simple in terms of the drawing, and it's so much more about feeling. And so, like, if you ever watch it, it's like it really is just one frame and a bunch of like whooshes and wind and energy and all that stuff. And that's actually how I've tried to describe like autism. It's like you are completely paralyzed in feeling like the force of the universe, and it is this feeling of being so powerful but like not being able to do anything with it.
You feel a lot. It almost feels too much. So a lot of my coping, for me personally, I can't speak for everyone, is mindfulness and just learning to keep those feelings down, like level, just like turning down the volume on them. Like, I feel it and then I let it go. But when I feel it too much, it's like the volume is spiking, and I don't like that.
I'm curious to know if your relationship having a child has helped you become better at better at that, not necessarily out of the necessity of like, all right, I'm a mom and I have to like straighten up and I have to be there, but because it's like you have this unconditional love and there's a lot more safety in that.
I could definitely say that motherhood has been the best thing for my mental health ever. And I think it's a little bit of, yes, I have this person depending on me. I have to push through. But at the same time, it's like you said, it almost is grounding in a way. Yeah, like meltdowns used to be a problem, but not so much now. But at the same time, it could have just been that I've been improving every year since I've discovered I was on the spectrum. Because I was
always,
for many years I was just flying blind, and then I turned 25, I get diagnosed, and it was like, okay, and it's been uphill from there, really.
Like, and now that you have the answer, it's kind of that key of like, oh, Eureka, now I know what to do about it.
Oh yeah, because the resources are out there and there's people to talk to and learn from, but before that point, I was already making lessons without knowing even what I was doing. Like, I didn't even know I was accidentally making them for autistic people. I just thought, oh, a lesson on why, like, one of the origins for my social media lesson was I posted, oh, it was really hard, but thanks to my friends, I built a computer. So thank you guys. My friend got after me. That is the most depressing way to congratulate yourself for making a computer. Say I made a computer. Why would you post? Why would you post that? Repost it. Sound more positive. And I was like, I'll make a lesson about that.
It's all a little bit of it's kind of a self-edit in a way. It's learning how to find like the more appropriate way of just kind of treating yourself of, you know, your thought. It's valid. You don't always have to push other people's needs of like, okay, yeah, like they helped me do this, they did this, and now thank you, I have a PC and I built a PC. It's like, no, you want to know what? I followed these IKEA instructions. Look at this super cool thing I made. It's flashy. It has RGB. It's dope as hell. And that's fun times.
It's something I like has always been difficult for me too, though. I like, it's not that it's not important as much as it's like a matter of fact. It's like, and I did this and I can move on with my day, and there's nothing like special or big about it. It's just like, I did a thing and now I can like not focus on that anymore. I can move on to this is the thing to help me get that out of the way so that I can get on to the next thing.
I've definitely learned over time, it's the small victories that you actually have to learn to soak them in.
Yeah.
That's general across the board for every human being out there.
Oh
yeah. It's funny. A lot of these lessons, they're good for everybody. Like, I've taught neurotypical students along with my autistic students. It's just, our autistic students are most likely not going to come across that lesson naturally on their own. They kind of need just a little bit more on the nose. Like, oh, I get it now.
When you're teaching neurotypical students alongside autistic students, what is that experience? Because that's another level of complication to how you're approaching these lessons too. What is that experience like to have those reactions and those students in the same room?
Oh, it's brilliant. There's going to be pros and cons to having just autistic students or just neurotypicals, but the good thing about having mixed is you get different perspectives. So the conversations, which are really the meat of any of these lessons, they get to give each other's perspectives on things, and it helps them realize my perspective might need to change. Like, maybe my perspective is the unhealthy one, because that sounds like that makes sense. Like, it's the exchange of information is brilliant, and to be honest, that's the best way to learn anything, is to learn with somebody else and talking it out, if that makes sense.
No, it does. 100%. I think it's one of those things that that made me feel really good. I just needed to soak that in. It's really nice to hear that there is this intermixing of information. It's not just one side receiving. It's both students on both ends being able to say, this is what's going on for me. Oh, this is what's going on for me. Okay, we can cross-reference.
Like, the way I've written most of these lessons is that the teacher is really just there to supervise. It's just to guide everyone's discussions to make sure that they kind of reach the point that the teacher wants them to get. But the whole point is for them to talk and realize it themselves. And it's funny because that is the ideal way anyone would learn, but that doesn't happen all the time in school. That would take a lot of funding. A lot smaller,
for sure.
A lot smaller classes.
Yeah. Sam, one of the things that we would love to chat with you a little bit more about and dive deeper into is that you told us a while back that you made a super nifty app in which you just donated. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Okay, well, I have a habit of just grabbing random skills, and I one day had the idea of an app. The idea was people on the spectrum get really attached to things like, let's say, Tamagotchis and Pokemon. And I wanted there to be a companion to encourage good behaviors and discourage bad behaviors by them entering their daily habits. And if they're doing a harmful behavior, their little character would cry and be like, no, don't do this to me. I'm sad. And if they did good behaviors like self-care or reading a book, etc., their little creature would get happy. And then for doctors and teachers, it would keep track on a calendar. I reached my limit to what I could do on my own without any computer training, with help from a student from a local college. And then I thought, it's just sitting on my computer. Let me call this random nonprofit that I approve of. And that's when I met my friends from Nonpareil. They help autistic adults with computer training skills so that they could get jobs at Microsoft, Dell, or do computer animation. I donated the app to them so that they could get funding and their students could actually build it.
Speechless, because it is really amazing.
Yeah, back when I was like, I'm gonna date myself again here. Like back when I was like 6 and Tamagotchis were coming out, like never in my life did I think of this as like one of those instrumental kind of things that could teach people about. Like, I mean, I like to think that it taught me good habits, but like I didn't think that it was going to be like that kind of a profound thing. But that's such an interesting take on education.
It very much feels like a more advanced version of what Pokemon was aiming to be. It's just evolved. You donated this just to really deep dive further into your thoughts and your feelings around like and your generosity. Was there a point at which you had that kind of conversation with yourself about like, I really have a good idea I believe in and it can make money, or was that never something you even thought of?
Well,
or didn't want to think of that?
Well, I did try starting my own nonprofit. We actually we became a nonprofit, but my business partner left. I was by myself, and to be honest, it was too much for me. Mentally, I realized in my goal to save the world, I was really, really damaging myself. And it was actually when I met my husband. I had to kind of, I came at a crossroads. I could either be this kind of starving artist who was trying to make this nonprofit work, or I could become a partner with somebody else and build a life from that and kind of learn to put that away. But although I realized that it wasn't the best for me to pursue that route, it didn't mean that the idea had to die and not help anyone. So that's when I got the idea to reach out to Nonpareil, because even though I couldn't see myself doing it, maybe somebody else could.
Just round of applause. Round of applause. Take a bow. Take a bow. I gotta stop clapping. My dog's gonna start barking.
I feel that.
Having the privilege to meet someone like you who really thinks and has this frame of mind unconditionally to be able to, knowing that this idea of creating something doesn't always mean that it has to be in your hands. It can be in somebody else's hands. And that byproduct comes from the idea of like being nice to yourself, not overwhelming yourself when you want to be able to go and save the world and do so much.
It's funny, just something you said that struck me is I realized that my concept of like being human is very unique to me. I always see it as I can't do everything. Passing the torch is not a failing on me. Like, never becoming this great star or something, being normal is not a failing. It's just life. Like, it's just how it is.
Asking for help can sometimes be the biggest superpower that you have.
Yeah. I don't know why. I just got the Pokemon move Helping Hand stuck in my head, but that's beside the point.
Yes. No, there's so many times when I can just talk to myself of having to just ask for assistance, that even for like neurotypical people like myself, like that is a lot for me. I had too much pride. I grew up in like families of people just trying to take care of shit themselves, and having to reach out and ask for help was something that I had to learn. And I learned much later in life. I can only imagine how tough that is for someone who is more neurodiverse to also learn that. So, like, I give props to you, and I give props to Byron, I give props to your husband for helping you figure out that need as well. And, just congrats on getting to that point.
Well, thank you. Like, I sincerely, like, my life isn't perfect. Like, I could always use, a little more extra cash to buy, that PlayStation 5. But that's beside the point.
Ditto.
Right? But...
No comment.
That's if they're available.
Yeah.
But despite those little things, I'm happy. And I do think just learning all these little kind of tricks of life, it's healthy in the long run. Learning to let go, or knowing when to let go.
Knowing when to tell that stuff.
Be gone. We're coming nearly to a close here, and we would all love to know, what is your future good? What have you got in store? What are you excited about? What are you looking to do and celebrate?
Well, I'm making my lessons nice and pretty, and hopefully all three of us can meet again and do something with them, because I would love to get them out there.
Will do that.
Absolutely.
We should do a Twitch stream of us learning from you.
That would
That's
be fun.
actually a great idea.
That sounds fun.
Let's do it.
Yes, absolutely. We, ladies and gentlemen, so that you know, we've asked Sam to do some of her lessons with us, and we're figuring out the best way to be able to bring that to you. So please look out for that in the future.
Awesome.
Awesome.
So, Sam, thank you so much for being here with us and giving us this lovely evening and teaching us about the good of being good to yourself. And thank you. Thank you. Like,
really,
I genuinely, I have like a warm feeling in my heart after this conversation.
Aww.
So thank you. I have the tingles. I got the tingles
right here and right here. right, not this corner, that corner.
That corner.
That corner.
And the bespeech smirk.
Seeing y'all two is always lovely.
Oh,
well, you're sweet.
My heart. super good.
That was
super good. Man,
yes.
Past Us had a really good interview with Sam.
Yes, they did. Where the magic of editing and time travel has allowed us to be able to represent that properly.
That is how we do
that
it.
Stupid editor joke that doesn't come out quite the way that I was setting it up for.
It's okay.
Anyways, Mike, what did you take away from Sam?
What I took away from Sam is that to some people, helping others kind of comes naturally, and when it kind of comes to being your guiding light and being the thing that you want to do most, sort of in this routine people pleaser mentality of like, you want to go and you want to help and you want to please others and you want to do things to help others, but taking that step back to realize that you're not giving yourself as much time and effort that you need, that you're giving to others. It was an eye-opening experience for me. And from that, I've been trying to work on finding things to really better myself, to take time to meditate, to take time to just genuinely focus on making myself better. And it's been nice. It's been really nice. So thank you, Sam, for that. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Byron,
Sam, really.
What did you take away? Because this was a big one for you.
Yeah, so this was definitely a personal one for me, especially like since I think in general doing this podcast has allowed me a lot more freedom and a lot more expression to be able to speak to my autism in a way that in a way that I wasn't really doing before. So kind of talking with her was a bit of a climax in that, and I have a lot of different thoughts about it, but I think the biggest thing that is something that is to me more about just so much gratitude is really just representation. Maybe you do know, maybe you don't know, good audience, but autism has always been advertised as a boy's condition, and it's always been represented with colors of blue, and that's never been the reality that I have experienced. I think also, not only to mention that women and girls are disproportionately diagnosed, and not just in mental health, but also throughout just general regular medical health as well. And I think I don't hear too many stories. I don't get to speak to too many women on the spectrum to hear their experience. And I think for me, it's just given me a lot more to think about in my own experience, how I think about being autistic, the way that it's represented for women, the way that it's also represented for gender non-binary people, because I've heard so many stories like this where there are gender non-binary people who came to that conclusion about their identity specifically because of the way that their brain is wired from being autistic, which is an incredibly empowering and beautiful thing. And at least I think a lot of my gratitude that I feel is that the world that I live in about being autistic, it's so much more beautiful. It's so much more diverse and big than I think people give it the opportunity to be able to see. So I'm thankful for Sam for coming on and sharing her story when I know that was already such a big thing, and I'm thankful to my wife, who has been through so much development with me. Like, it's still a thing for me that continues to develop, that I will always be having a conversation with. Mike, I'm thankful to you for letting me have the opportunity to bring someone on and be able to share this with our audience, and I'm thankful to our audience for allowing me to share not only a part of myself, but someone who is doing amazing things in spite of whatever challenges she faces and whatever challenges her students face.
Absolutely. And you said it perfectly, dude. She is a fantastic, awesome, beautiful soul.
I'm tearing up a bit. I didn't realize how much that would make me cry.
Man, it's okay. This is the moments that we try to curate. Moments that make you feel genuinely, heartfeltly good. And Sam, yes, we greatly appreciate you. If you want to chat with Sam a little bit more, you can find her on our Discord, the FillGood Podcast Discord, which you can see a link in the info below to join. And also too, she's not fully out on social media, but if you want to pay some tribute to the cause that she has helped serve, she donated that program to an organization called Non-Peril, which you can go to at npusa.org. So go check that out. Go support them. Yeah. And you want to know what, Sam? High five. High fives. That's my ASMR sound effect that we layer on top of that. But everybody, thank you so much for joining us for another fun episode. We're releasing these every 2 weeks. So subscribe on any podcast service that you hear us on, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever. Also, find us on YouTube. Like and subscribe there. You can see our beautiful faces. You can see how crazy brown my eyes are now with this new camera. I seriously cannot get enough of it. It's really weird. But find us, like us, subscribe.
Is that a little bit of hazel in there?
It might be. It literally, I don't know. It's like chocolatey goodness. Hell yeah. But anywho, find us, like us, love us, be good, do good, feel good, and we'll catch you all on the flippity flop, flip flop, flippity flop, flop, flip flop, 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 flippity flop, flip flop. The Feel Good Podcast, hosted by Mike Osgood and Byron Filler. Find us on Instagram and TikTok at FillGoodPod, FillGoodPod.
You can also find us anywhere you listen to podcasts, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you on the flip-flop.